You gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Oh my goodness. You know, when it comes to cold weather, you get really creative. That's what we've learned. Thank you so much for joining us for KARE 11 News at noon. Today, we're following more reaction linked to safety as police continue to search for the suspect who shot and killed Minnesota CEO Brian Thompson. We're also following a big meeting that's happening right now in the Minneapolis City Council. But first, let's get a look at that weather we were talking about last January. It was so cold that, like, literally my windshield wiper fluid, it froze.
We're due for a couple of those cold waves here this upcoming winter, so get ready for that. However, we're going to head the opposite direction as we head into this weekend. Now, I wanted to show you this time-lapse loop from earlier this morning. Saw some splashes of sunshine, but since then, well, the clouds have moved back overhead. Now, these clouds are not going to be producing anything other than just cloudiness, but you can expect to see more of an overcast sky the remainder of the day today. So the warm-up does begin. Temperatures have already warmed into the mid to upper 20s, and it gets warmer from there. By the time we get into Saturday and Sunday, 40 degrees or warmer. We haven't seen 40 or warmer since before Thanksgiving, so it's been a while since we've seen that. And a couple of weather systems will bring some snow, mainly across far northern Minnesota later tonight and once again on Sunday into Monday. And we'll kind of get the remnants from that as we wrap up our weekend. More on that just ahead. Let's take a look at our current temperatures. Right now, 28 degrees. Some parts of western and southwest Minnesota are already warmer than the freezing mark. Marshall's at 38 degrees. That's close to 30 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. So a sizable warming trend indeed. And again, a lot of cloud cover, but we're not seeing much fall from the sky, at least for today. Our eyes face up to the northwest. That's our next weather system, which is a Clipper system that'll bring parts of northern Minnesota. A couple inches of snowfall late tonight into tomorrow. We'll talk more about that, plus a look at your weekend forecast that's coming ahead.
Ben, thank you. With the gunman in the deadly shooting of United Healthcare CEO still on the loose, today we're seeing another Minnesota company taking precautions. Right around 2 hours ago, we learned that Medica, a health insurance company in Minnetonka, has temporarily closed its offices. Leaders say they have not gotten any specific threats, but the safety of their employees is the main priority. We're also following this story, and we'll have more information on their decision tonight at 5. All of this comes on the third day of the search for the suspect in what police are calling a targeted attack against Brian Thompson of Maple Grove. NBC's Stephen Romo has the latest from Manhattan, where the murder took place.
Yeah, it's been more than 48 hours now since that shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson here outside of this Hilton in Midtown Manhattan, and we still don't know a name of that shooter. The biggest developments came yesterday when police searched a hostel on Manhattan's Upper West Side and released images of a person they're calling a person of interest. You can see his full face, unlike the images they released of a suspect on Wednesday from a Starbucks, where you could see that the suspect was masked up. We also know investigators are looking into whether the person may have used a fake ID and paid in cash at that hostel. Investigators now have physical evidence recovered here from the scene, including those shell casings with words written on them, and nearby picking up a water bottle and some protein bars that the suspect is believed to have purchased at that Starbucks. That physical evidence they have to go from, as well as knowing that the suspect may have traveled from Atlanta or along the route from Atlanta on a Greyhound bus, making it to the city potentially 10 days before that shooting happened. Things that they are all looking at right now as they too try to find a name for that shooter. Stephen Romo, NBC News, back to you.
As investigators work to find the suspect in Thompson's murder, new details are surfacing over lawsuits against the CEO. Here's what we know.
I'm Jessica Hart. New details about lawsuits against Brian Thompson are coming to light. Thompson is being sued over insider trading allegations, and he's not the only one. The company he worked for, United Health Group, is also being sued, along with several executives. According to the lawsuits, the plaintiffs are accusing Thompson of selling over $15 million of his personal shares between October 2023 and February of 24, knowing United Health was being investigated by the Department of Justice, information investors and the public didn't have.
Well, we also know more about how this is impacting employees at the Minnesota-based company. Several workers tell us that there's been fear and confusion across many conversations on the United Health Group's campus in Minnetonka. The company is putting a lot of emphasis on employees taking care of themselves, including taking time off or working from home if necessary. Emails sent to employees internally say security guidelines and building access processes are also being reinforced. There's also been more security and police on campus. Well, there are still many aspects to answer about what happened in New York. Stick with KARE 11 as this story develops on air, online, and on KARE 11 Plus. Well, right now, the Minneapolis City Council is in a meeting where they're tracking three big developments. Now, the first is a 2025 city budget resolution. The proposal includes an 8.1% increase in the tax levy. The meeting comes after City Council members failed to override Mayor Frye's veto of the proposed Labor Standards Board. Now, supporters of that board say it would have given workers more of a voice, but business groups warn that it could drive companies away. Mayor Frye says he's committed to finding a unified vision for the board. And the council failed to come to an agreement on the new vision for George Floyd Square. Here's Danny Spiewak with the details.
It's back to the drawing board for George Floyd Square at 38th and Chicago in South Minneapolis. The city council essentially rejected the city's plan they had brought forth for the square earlier in the fall. Instead, the majority of city council members want to explore what's known as a pedestrian mall idea made more feasible by a new state law. This is something that might be similar to Nicollet Mall over there at George Floyd Square. If this moves forward, there would need to be more public engagement and discussions with residents and business owners.
Well, Attorney General Keith Ellison is suing the former superintendent of Mung College Prep Academy in St. Paul. The school lost $4.3 million to a hedge fund. The lawsuit alleges that Christiana Hong violated the charter school's investment policy and state law in committing the school to become a limited partner of Woodstock Capital. He also filed for the academy to reform its governance, claiming that its board did not properly supervise Hong. The St. Paul School District is a step closer to hiring its next superintendent. The search committee narrowed its list yesterday to the top 3 candidates for the job. That includes the current Hopkins and Edina superintendents and the former superintendent for Boston Public Schools. The board will now interview the finalists later this month. Well, in just a few hours, we'll see some highway shutdowns all across the metro, and that could be pretty impactful to you. Alicia Lewis has the details.
It's going to be a gorgeous weekend, but there's a few big construction projects that might slow down your weekend plans. So the first one is over in St. Paul. 94 is going to be closed for the Kellogg 3rd Street Bridge removal between Highway 5 and 61, both directions. That starts Friday night at 10. It's going to wrap up Monday morning at 5 a.m. Your detour is a pretty big one. It's up 35E through Little Canada and wraps around the 694 bend over to Maplewood, Woodbury area. So plan accordingly for that. Southwest of that, down in Bloomington, 494 is closed in both directions between 35W and Highway 100. Your detour see here on Highway 100, 62 and 35W. That will wrap up Monday at 5 a.m.